Hello viewers, you're welcome to my Beautifier community youth, Uganda. This is Jamesboy imani once again. Today I'm going to give a testimony. It may be strange, but still it has a great message of God in it. One time I went home and I found that some kids had picked this tiny fish from a pond, and they had put them in a particular container. Then later the next day, I was actually not supportive of such a thing, but the next day I found that they had made an artificial, how do I say, aquarium, because it was a fish in a bottle and some stones in it. I had a problem with it. I raised a complaint at home because it was in the sitting room, but still no one really took my concern serious. Later I ignored this, and then I left home for I think like 2 months. Then the next time I came back, I found this same container there with water and the stones. But the only difference this time, the two tiny fish had died, and it was one left. And the thing is, as you know, with growth, the fish had grown. But this time I would see it had very little breathing space. And I would see it cannot move. It was in the water, but it would not move, and it was there for a long time. This bottle was transparent. So I would see, like, with time as it grows, I think the stones now are starting to press on its skin. This is a real life story. So I had a problem with this issue. So I raised the concern, but everyone else was against me on this. I said what we are doing here is very wrong, and it is a sin to torture God's creation. So I knew no one will set this fish free, so I had a plan. That night I woke up, it was at around 9. I decided I will save this fish. Because through the glass I felt like we were connecting with this fish. It was looking at me, and I really felt I had a lot to do about this. But the struggle was to get this fish out, because it was like at the bottom, and that in this bottle the top was shallow. So to get these stones out was going to be a struggle. But nevertheless, I prayed and went outside the house and struggled. So the struggle was pouring this thing upside down, and of course the whole water went brown. The stones, there were many different sizes, it split, so it was a struggle. So I poured out, but it reached a time I thought maybe now I've killed it, but still I pushed. Then in the end I poured it on the ground. Looked, there were so many stones, it was a struggle, but then in the end I saw the fish like moving like this. So I picked it, then dropped it in a container which had water. Then I was determined the next day to free it. So I hid it, no one knew about this. The next day I woke up at 6. That time I had to walk a very long distance to look for a very large water body, a lake. So on my way to the water body, I felt a voice of God speak. And that voice of God told me this fish is going to be called freedom. And God compared me to this fish because I was once in that same scenario. I was once locked up in a life of addiction, in a life of hopelessness. It reached a time I knew no one would help me, just like that fish. It knew it wanted freedom, but there was no way out. The situation looked totally impossible. And I'm sure in its heart it used to pray to God, because God is a creator. The same way I used to pray to God, the same way maybe you're praying to God right now. But there's no solution and you feel it's impossible. You're caged and you're locked in. So God used me. The same way God will use any factor, to save you, just the same way He used me to save the fish. And the same way He used the Holy Spirit to save me from my life of addiction. So He told me this fish is going to be called freedom, because when God comes in your life, you will stop living a life of bondage and He will bring freedom to you. So I took the fish to the water body, prayed over it, and threw it in the water. And I believe it got the biggest freedom in its life. It was once locked up in a small container, but God now had given it a vast territory with no measure, and it was free to swim wherever it went. It was free to do whatever it did, because now God had given it freedom. That same story is the same story that God told me to share many years later, and I thank God that this is the right time I'm sharing this testimony. God is going to do that same thing in your life. You might be living in a circumstance where everything is against you, all odds, and people are not fighting for you, but they are fighting against you. You're locked up, and these stones are pricking you from left, right, and center, and you feel this is the end. I'm here to tell you, where the end is with man, it's where there's a beginning with God. God is not yet done with you. God remembers you. God knows your name, and He's doing something today, and He's going to break you through. Continue believing. Don't lose the hope. If I quit addiction, I quit something that people said it's impossible. I tried to commit suicide and I did not die. God had a plan for me, just like He promised in Jeremiah 29:11. He has a good plan for all of us, including you. So I'll close this with a verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17, which says, "For the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom." So today let's embrace God, and His Spirit will bring freedom to you and to your loved ones and to all of us. May God bless you.